Okay, today we're going to be doing circles, circumference and area of circles. We're going to start by looking at some features of circles. Prissy Panda over here is going to be taking you through this whole lesson. She's going to be dressed in different clothes and she'll make you happy because she smiles all the time. Alright, a circle is a round figure with all the points on the circle the same distance to the center. Okay? So all these points, C, B, A, E, D, they're all the same distance from here, the center. So all the points on this part right here are all the same distance from the center. And the center in the mid is the point in the middle of the circle. Okay, you need to, these are vocabulary things that you need to know. Okay, the diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. Now it doesn't have to be drawn right here. It could be drawn here or here. It can, just as long as it goes through that center from one side to the other side. See, that's it right there. Okay? Alright, the diameter is represented by D. The radius is the distance from any point on the circle to the center. So from here to the center is a radius. From B to the center is a radius. From C to the center is a radius. From D to the center is a radius. And from E to the center is a radius. And radius is represented by R. Alright, radius and diameter. Let's look at the relationship between radius and diameter. How are the radius and diameter related? Well, the diameter goes all the way through the circle, and the radius only goes halfway through the circle. So what conclusions can you come to? The radius is half the length of the diameter. So that means you could write radius equals 1/2 of diameter. But that also means that the diameter is twice as long as the radius. So we can write diameter equals 2 times the radius. And that's the thing you're going to be using most often is whenever you, things are in terms of radius, you're going to write 2r. So let's practice. Identify the radius and diameter of the circles. Identify the length of the radius. Right, it was 7. Okay, 7 centimeters. All right, identify the length of the diameter. Well, see, the radius is 7, so the diameter has to be, right, 14. Identify the length of the radius. The radius is 9. Very good. Identify the length of the diameter. Remember, the diameter is twice as long as the radius, so that means it's 18. Identify the length of the radius. Well, this is a diameter which is 12, and remember the radius is half of the diameter, so that means it's 6. Identify the length of the diameter. So this is 12 going all the way from one side to the other side through the center, so that means it's 12. Identify the length of the radius. Well, we've got 20 here. Half of 20 would be 10. Okay, nice job so far. Now let's find out what the circumference is. Circumference is the distance around a circle. Okay? It's that distance around the circle. Just like the distance around any figure is the perimeter. This is just another word for perimeter. It's special for circles. This is the circumference. To calculate the circumference, multiply the diameter by pi, which is about 3.14. So, circumference equals pi times diameter, or you could write 2 pi r, because remember 2r is the same as diameter. Alright, let's practice. Find the circumference of the circles. Alright, the circumference of this one, multiply the diameter by pi, which is about 3.14, so that means we're going to go 12, which is the diameter, times 3.14. and we get 37.68 centimeters. All right, now this time we're going to find it in terms of pi. That means don't use 3.14 for pi, use the symbol, okay? So it's going to be circumference equals d times pi, but we're just going to write 12 times pi because the diameter is 12, and then you just use pi. You don't do any multiplication with that one. Find the circumference. Multiply the diameter by pi, which is about 3.14. So we're going to go, this time we've got the radius, so we're going to use this formula over here. We're going to go 2r pi. So that's going to be 2 times 7, which is 14 pi. And this time we're multiplying it out. 14 times 3.14 is 43.96 centimeters. All right, now we're going to find it in terms of pi again. So don't use 3.14 for pi, use the symbol. Remember, it's going to be, we're dealing with the radius, so it's going to be 2r pi. So we're going to write 2 times 7 times pi, which gives us 14 pi. All right, find the circumference of this one. Multiply the diameter by pi. Can you do this one? Pause the video, do it, and then get back with me. All right, so did you use the formula 2r pi? Because this is the radius, and so you got to use 2r pi. So that's going to be 2 times 9 times pi, which is 18 pi. And then you multiply by 3.14, and you got 5652, I hope. Very good. All right, find the circumference of this one in terms of pi. Remember, this is 2r pi is the formula that you're using this time. And we write 2 times 9 times pi, because 9 is the radius, and we get 18 pi centimeters. All right, you're doing great. Now let's find out what area is. The area of a circle is the amount of space that changes, well, it's not the amount of space that changes color always, because yours won't always change colors, but in this circumstance, it's the amount of space that changes color. Well, I think we can determine that that's that's inside the circle, okay? So define the area, square the radius, and multiply by pi. So it's going to be area equals pi r squared. Remember, the radius is the r, okay? So we're just going to take pi and multiply it by r squared. So let's practice. Find the area of the circles. All right, find the area. Remember, you're going to square the radius and multiply it by pi. So we go area equals pi r squared. So that will be area equals 7 squared times pi, which is equal to 49 times pi, which is 49 times 3.14, equals 153.86 centimeters squared. Remember, you're multiplying centimeters times centimeters here, so that means it's going to be centimeters squared. All right, find it in terms of pi. Remember, you do not use 3.14 this time. So it's area equals pi r squared, and you go area equals pi r squared equals 7 squared times pi equals 49. I don't know why they've got that point there. I borrowed this from somebody. But it should be just 49 pi centimeters squared. All right, find the radius first, because see, this is the diameter. And so what you've got to do is, take it in half. So that radius would be 8. So it'll be pi r squared. So it'll be 8 squared times pi, which gives you 200.96 centimeters squared. Okay, I emphasize the squared because a lot of times we forget to put that down. All right, now we're going to do it in terms of pi. Everything's the same thing, okay, except you just don't have that step where you multiply by 3.14. So if you're told to find it in terms of pi, you just don't use 3.14, okay? Find the radius first, okay? So it's going to be area equals pi r squared. The radius is 10 because it's half of 20. So area equals 10 squared pi equals 100 pi, and 100 times 3.14 is 314 centimeters squared. All right, once again, the area is pi r squared. The radius is 10, so it'll be 10 squared pi, and in terms of pi, the answer is 100 pi centimeters squared. Find the radius first. The radius is 5, okay? So we go area equals 5 squared times pi, and we get 78.5 centimeters squared. Are you catching on to this? Because, well, I know I'm going through it a little bit quickly, but this is just about plugging things in and being able to remember that formula, okay? You got to remember that formula and then be able to figure out what the conclusion is. All right, let's review. Circumference of a circle. What is the circumference of a circle? Is it the distance around the circle or the amount of space on the circle? Right, it's the distance around. To find the circumference, you need to know or calculate the diameter. Now, so it's pi d. But remember, you can also do 2 pi r. What is the area of a circle? Is it the distance around the circle or the amount of space on the circle? Right, it's the amount of space on the circle. Okay? And to find the area, you first need to know or calculate the radius. Right. You can have the diameter, but remember the formula is pi r squared, so you've got to figure out what the radius is. Alright, great job. Now you know all about circles. Prissy Panda is happy. And that's the end. Look how happy she is.